Hi, Sherry B here from SOS Speeches. It is a beautiful day in Washington State, so I'm going to try to do this video walking around the property a little bit so you can see just how gorgeous it is out here during the summertime, which we're about to start getting into our raising season, so soaking it up while we can. Today we are talking about the series in the interview process, the do's and don'ts of an interview, how to get an interview, how to conduct an interview, we'll go into that one later, how to be an interviewee, and what to do after an interview. So we've done a couple different videos. I've done a couple different videos in regards to these, so go check out those other ones. But today is about being an interviewee and what not to do during an interview. There's a couple things that people do when they're nervous in an interview, and it's not good, and they're really kind of silly. So we're going to talk about those. Let's start by walking into an interview. Do not chew gum in an interview. Just don't do it. Don't leave your cell phone on. Put your cell phone away. Don't even bring it out on the table. Put it in your purse, put it in your pocket, leave it in the car. Don't bring it with you unless for some reason you have an emergency situation that you're waiting for a phone call. Then have it with you, but express that to your interviewer on what is going on. But if you have an emergency that you're waiting for, sometimes just asking to reschedule is the best thing to do in that case. Do not forget to bring a copy of your resume with you or your references. As we stated before, you don't always want to put your references on the resume itself, depending on what you're applying for. So make sure you have a copy of it ready to go. Some people just quickly glance over resumes and they don't actually read them, but they want one. So make sure that you bring that with you into the interview. Do not leave that interview without asking questions. You want to make sure that you are asking questions of that interviewer, because as we established before, you are making sure that this job fits you. Not just do you fit this job, but does this job fit you? Make sure that you ask good questions, not like, so how much are you going to pay me? That may not always be the best time to ask that. Sometimes that's when you're getting down into your second or third interview, you'll discuss pay. Sometimes some jobs don't even discuss pay until after you have the interview. But have those questions ready. Just have them ready. But don't lead with that question. Don't let that be the first question that you have for that interviewer. It's not good manners. So let's see, what other things not to do. Don't bring food with you. Do not bring food with you into an interview unless you're hypoglycemic or diabetic, whatever. Unless it's a medical necessity that you have something with you, don't bring it with you and keep it off the table. And let's see, what else? Don't bring your children with you. I've had somebody that I interviewed that brought their child with them, and kid was old enough to sit in the car by themselves. They were a teenager, and we spent half the interview trying to make this individual comfortable by trying to find them a spot for their child to sit and get their child a drink. They didn't come prepared for their interview, which if it's a necessity that you have your kid with you, make sure that your interviewer knows that before you walk in to that interview. There is nothing worse than being distracted, and if you're distracting somebody, if you're irritating somebody in an interview, it's not really likely that you're going to get a second one or that you're going to get that job unless you are just amazing and blow it out of the water. So make sure that you have those couple things done. Research your company that you are applying for. I've had interviews with people that they're like, oh, the temp agency sent me, and I have no clue what y'all even do. Okay, that's weird. No, most people do not mind explaining what a typical day in it is. They actually expect you to ask that, and it's a good question to ask. It means that you're really interested in the day-to-day thing. You're thinking about yourself being in that position, and employers love that. Employers want you to be engaged, want you to care about what it is that this position does. Is there any room for growth, things like that. But if you don't have any questions, that is a huge no-no on it. And not knowing what the company does or what the position is not acceptable. It's basically a okay, interview's over type situation, and it's unfortunate, but it is. So be prepared. It is not up to that employer to make sure that you know what you're applying for. It's up to you to know what you were applying for. Depending on what you're applying for will depend on what type of language and demeanor that you can use. Even if the interviewer does it, do not cuss. Don't cuss. Just don't. It is disrespectful. It's distasteful. It says a lot about who you are and the respect that you have for the interviewer and the company, and it's not good. Policy, ethics, you name it, character, just don't. Don't use slang words. Unless you're in that type of environment that you're applying for and they do it, just don't do it. Be professional. You don't have to be fake, just know your audience, I guess is what I'm saying. Let's see, what other don'ts? Don't complain about a previous boss or a previous company. A lot of companies will ask you situational based questions. Have you ever had a boss that you disagreed with? Well, hopefully, if you've had a couple positions, yes, you've had a boss that you've disagreed with, but that is not an open invitation for you to gripe about that person. You want to say what happened without going into too much details. You want to say what you did about it. Be honest, but know that if it shines you in a bad light, you probably should have done something a little bit differently in that situation. But be honest, and don't fake it. Don't fake any of your answers, because if you find somebody in an interview like me that I have learned how to pick up on micro expressions and body language and eye movements, I can guarantee you that I will know if you are lying to me or not. So be careful on your questions there, but don't have your questions so dialed in that you can't expand on those questions. What I mean is, don't over prep yourself by looking at every single question out there on the internet on what is an employer going to ask me and having the perfect little answer to that. You want to look for interview questions, but you don't want to be so pigeonholed on your answers that you can't elaborate if they've asked you to elaborate on it. But have situational based questions. Stay away from hypothetical questions. Oh, well, if I was in that position, I would have done this. No, I'm asking you what you did in that position or in that situation. And if you've never encountered that before, tell them that. Everybody has had a coworker, a boss, a subordinate that they did not get along with. And so saying, oh, I've never been in a situation where I didn't get along with somebody. I usually get along with everybody. Your interviewer is probably doing an internal eye roll. You can't get through life without having a disagreement with someone. So maybe you're new to the workforce and you've never had a job before, so that really doesn't apply to you. Your interviewer should be looking at your resume or should know your history through your application to know if that question actually fits you or not. So that's something to think about. But if that's a standard question that they have to ask you, go back to a time that you were in high school. and say, okay, this is what I did. So don't BS them. Don't create fake situations, things like that. What else not to do in an interview? Let's see. Don't bring your pets to an interview. Don't forget to put on deodorant in an interview. Don't forget to prepare for the interview by taking a shower, picking out clothes, looking at what type of environment you're going into. If you are going to work for an amusement park, having a three-piece suit is probably not going to be the best thing in an interview. Likewise, if you're applying for a CEO position, you don't want to show up in a t-shirt and blue jeans. So know your audience, know your company, know your environment that you're walking into. Don't be late. Bad manners. Don't be late. It's shocking on how many people show up late to an interview. Now, sometimes there are situations that just cannot be avoided. There was a wreck, you stopped to help, things like that. Get it. It happens. But if you're just like, I'm sorry, I didn't leave in enough time, that tells me right there that you are not aware of timing. Your time management skills are probably lacking. And if I'm at a company where time management skills are a necessity, that I don't have the time to teach you time management, sorry, the interview is probably over. That's just unfortunate, but just don't be late. Don't be late. Don't forget to thank the person for the interview. They took time out of their day to meet with you. They looked at your resume. They, wanted you. So don't forget to thank them on that. Don't forget to ask them if they don't tell you. Don't forget to ask them for the next steps. And where do we go from here? What's going on? You are always selling yourself, even if you're not going for a selling position. You're always selling yourself. So you want to ask those ended questions of an interview of what's the next step from here? When should I expect to hear from you? When are you looking to make your decision? And really kind of fill it out on if asking those next step questions are appropriate or not. If this is the only interview that you're going to get, because they said, oh, we're going to be making our decision by the end of the week, and you feel like it was a smashing interview and you had this great rapport with this person, ask for the sell. Say, okay, what is the main characteristics of somebody that you're looking for? What are you expecting them to have? And if that goes along with who you are and what you feel that it was in the interview, say, I know you can't tell me if I have the job right here or now, but where do you feel that I fall in that? Or where could you see me in this position? You want to answer their questions and ask them hypotheticals, like, if I get this job, say I got the job, just not if say I got the job, what is your training like? You want to make sure that they're envisioning you in that position. That kind of ties over into what to do in an interview, which is the next video that I'm going to be doing. So I hope this helped on what not to do in an interview, and look for the next video on what to do in an interview. And again, if you have any specific questions, chat me, ping me, write a comment, let me know if there's any videos that you want me to do on the interview process, and I'll try to help you out. SOS, Sherry B from SOS Speeches. Have a great day, and good luck.